In this video, we're going to talk about the measure of central tendency, which has to do with the measure of the central location of a data set. Okay, alright, so quickly, when we say central tendency, what does it mean? Okay, central tendency, the tendency of the variables in an observation to cluster in its central part, right? To cluster in its central part of the data is known as central tendency of the data. Okay, so you realize that upon analysis, upon organization, presentation, and analysis of the data tends to be clustered, to be grouped around a particular central location. Okay, if you see that, then that is what we call the central tendency of the data, right? So the tendency of the variables in a data to be grouped around a particular central part or central location of a data is what we call the central tendency of the data. So how do we measure the central tendency of the data? When we say measure of central tendency, the number around which the values in a data are crowded is called a measure of central tendency of that data. For example, if you have a data like this, nicely represented in a bar chart like this, when you look at the data looks to be crowded around a particular central value. Okay, there is a data which is normally distributed, okay, and the data looks to be crowded around a particular central value, okay, a particular central value, and that value is what we call the measure of central tendency, right? When you look at the data looks to be crowded or clustered around a particular central value, and that is the number what h, as you can see from the data. Okay, the data is crowded or clustered around the number what h, and there is where you can find the mean, okay, the median, okay, and then what, the mode. Is that right? That central location is where we can find the mean, the median, and then the mode. Okay, so the number around which the data seems to be crowded is a measure of central tendency. Is that right? Is a measure of its central location. Alright, and there is where we can find the mean, the median, and the mode. Is that right? Good. So in simple terms, what we are saying is that the measure of central tendency are the averages of the data set. Okay, the measure of central tendency, which we just looked at, are the averages of the data set. When we say averages, what do we mean by averages? Right, we need to know that the averages are the mean, as we've seen earlier, the mode, and the median. Okay, so we have three averages: the mean, the average, the mode, and then what, the median, because they give us an idea about the central location of a data set. Is that right? So these are the averages. So when we talk about central tendency, is the ability or the tendency of the variables in an observation to be crowded around a particular central location. Is that right? Good. And then when we talk about the measure of central tendency, is the number around which the data looks to be crowded. Is that right? Alright. And so, as we said, the measure of central tendency are the averages of the data set. Okay, so that's central location, that number around which the data looks to be crowded. The data always looks to be crowded around its averages. Okay, and we are saying that we have three averages. We have the mean, the mode, and what, the median. Good. So we'll be looking at these averages, the mean, mode, and median, in the subsequent videos. Thanks for watching.